Hello and welcome to the Game Theory Podcast on YouTube. I'm your host, Sam Vecenie, over here in Australia, coming to us live from his tiled office in Boston, Massachusetts. It's Matt Pennie. Periodically, before the 2022 NBA Draft, we're going to be recording prospect breakdown videos. We're going to dive deep into some of the best prospects in the 2022 NBA Draft. Today, we're talking Australian guard Dyson Daniels. As usual, the structure of these videos is going to go. Matt is going to give us a little bit of a breakdown on the vital information that you need to know. We're going to talk about the player's offense, his defense, and then we are going to give an overall takeaway on what his stock is before diving into some potential team fits. Matt, I give you the floor. Let's talk a little bit about my dear countryman, Dyson Daniels.
Your dear countryman, Dyson Daniels from Australia, played this last season with the G League Ignite program. By the numbers, measured at 6'7.5" at the combine with a 6'10.5" wingspan, had a growth spurt over last year, added about an inch or two to his size and to his frame. Averaged 11.3 points per game this past year, 5.9 rebounds, 4.4 assists, and 2.4 turnovers. Shot 45% from the field, 26% from three, and 74% from the free throw line.
So this is going to be kind of a weird comparison as we're starting on his offense. But the thing that Dyson reminds me most of is almost like a Villanova style guard for people who are more familiar with college basketball and with American basketball and haven't watched him in the G League, right? The reason I say that is he plays so much off of 2 feet. And because of that, he's so balanced. He's just able to like accept bumps. He stays strong through his frame. Look, he has like kind of like a weird, like awkward delivery, like toward the ball, like getting to the rim, but he's really soft touch, has real extension because of how big he is. Like it's hard to block him. He has these quick, like little one-handed gathers. He shoots from like odd angles with scoop shots and floaters. Like he just has like a little floater game, and then he loves to like spin left, and he loves to spin right into it. And then he's just this weird player that really reminds me almost like Josh Hart-ish when you watched him at Villanova when he was like, a junior and senior, getting into the lane, attacking constantly and playing off of 2 feet and being able to just kind of make plays happen because he's constantly ready. And obviously his best skill is his passing ability. And we'll talk about that momentarily, but like, I'm trying to like put it into context for people, I guess. Like he is a very interesting player in that regard. And the guys that I think have tended to have the most success as college players, if we're talking in grand statements about college basketball programs, I think are Villanova guys, which I think is in part why I like Dyson as much as I do.
You just love the jump stops and the shot fakes. You can't shake it, whether it's college or at the professional level. And the number one thing for Dyson for me that stands out is the vision. I think it's exceptional vision. And it's beyond finding the open man or the open cutter. He puts the ball and places the ball in the most advantageous position for his teammates. It's right in the shooting pocket. It's ahead on the break. It's my favorite part of his game, the way that he's able to maneuver that in real time. He sees it like a split second ahead of time, and then the ball's like already there on a laser. And he goes at his own pace. He's not sped up. He's not hurried. And when he has the ball in his hands, he takes really long strides when pushing it ahead. He'll extend over the top of smaller guards to get his floater in the lane. He uses that almost 7-foot wingspan, 6'11" wingspan to really get there because he's not going to explode up and dunk. But that just doesn't really happen unless he has a lot of time to gather. I liked how the Ignite used him this past year as a screener, and then he kind of like cut to the middle of the lane and again use that size as a quick post to finish. He's not this traditional ball dominant guard all the time. Like he knows how to pick his spots and score from different places. And yes, because of that lack of real speed, he's a ball screen guy. He needs a ball screen at the top, and that's how he's going to get downhill and create that space to operate. Or maybe he spins and scores back and keeps his balance and shot fakes. I'd like to see him gather a little bit better when he does have his man beat and it's not a floater or it's not a short push shot. He has a tendency to throw himself into traffic without really having a full plan of what to do. Turn that into that jump stop more often. Maybe finish off opposite the rim, shield from a rim protector. Give me something. The jumper, not great. The shooting did improve over the last half of the year. It's still sub 30% from three. I did pull this though. A year ago, Josh Giddey shot 29% in the NBL and then 26% his rookie year in the NBA. So there may be like a little bit of adjustment. I don't want to say that he's just all of a sudden going to hit 6% higher because of a shooting coach and the line goes back some, and has a dip on a shot, really exaggerated dip and bend, goes a little bit from left to right. But it's the passing, it's the size of that position. That's what stands out the most offensively for me.
The other thing he does, I think he's the best outlet passer in the class.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Just unbelievable in those regards. Like if he gets the ball, if he rebounds the ball, he's immediately looking down the court to headman that thing going forward. He's just so entirely unselfish. And I guess like, again, that's why I keep going back to like the Villanova thing. Like he just plays exactly that brand of basketball. And he just plays with great pace and ball screens, as you kind of alluded to. I think that like he really kind of understands how to get defenders moving and diagnose things while he's on the ball. He really manipulates defenders at a pretty high level out of ball screens. He's actually trying to move them and then trying to, kind of make that pass and deliver it right in the pocket. He can hit cross corner kickouts. He hits lobs. He hits, little wraparounds and little dump off shovel passes, right? Like has everything that you need in that way. You mentioned the shooting. Yeah, I've got some concerns. I think that I've heard that it's improved a little bit through the pre-draft process. I think that the release is clean, which is big for him. Right now, I think it's very robotic and very stiff. The rhythm, it's just like a little bit off in terms of like the weight transfer almost. Right. And like it's almost a shot prep issue more than it's a release issue. And I think those are just a little bit easier to fix. Given that like we've seen him like throw up pretty nice little floaters with real touch, I kind of think that it's going to be okay. Like he is pretty good at just like taking them off the hop. He gets good alignment on the shot. Like I'm pretty comfortable with him figuring it out in terms of being able to shoot. Now, we just spent 6 minutes talking about that. Like I think he's a starting quality player on offense, but probably more of a fourth or fifth option, maybe like a fourth option, but a very high level one that helps you win games because he is so capable of making high level reads and diagnosing what's happening out there. I love guys that process the game as quickly as Dyson does. Defensively is where he shines. I mean, he is a phenomenal perimeter defender, I think. It's just absolutely terrific at the point of attack on the ball. Stays in front. He contests guards. He has switchability. He's so big. He moves his feet so well. Like it's hard for guards to go through his chest because he's tough. He's just such an effective, consistent force. He fights through ball screens. Like he'll jump the ball and then he'll get skinny and just like get around it. Right. Second and third effort guy, really like is good at recovering to a ball handler's hip and then kind of forcing them into the other defenders or contesting from the side, those like side angle contests that are so important in the NBA. I think he is so good at the little nuances of defense, even beyond just like being an exceptional on ball guy.
Definitely that. I don't think I'm as high defensively. I'm high, but I'm not like all defense level high. And he's able to use his length and his size here too, especially against smaller guards. And he can guard up the lineup because he is that size. He has to get lower around screens. I agree with you. He can get skinny and like navigate his way, but it's kind of like a stiff skinny as opposed to like a lower skinny. He is a pest using that length on closeouts too. You see he can test a lot of like long, deep shots on the perimeter. Like he doesn't die, and that's a multiple effort thing. But he does get beat a little bit more than you would think sometimes on those recoveries. Like it's not a chop. Like he'll kind of fly by the guy and then need to recover, and he'll get there. But if you eliminate that first part when you're out of the play, it won't be as much of a recovery either. He tries to switch often when he makes contact, which was a little bit of the defensive coverage that the Ignite ran too. It was sort of like a contact and switch. And a lot of like under or plays on dropped coverage. Like I don't know if that was what they're schematically they're trying to do. Like he didn't always hedge on some of that stuff. like the activity. I like him off the ball. He's always navigating, moving, anticipating. I am just a little bit worried about him guarding ones and twos when you have a guy who's speedier at 6'3" and he's almost 6'8", and you make up for that with how long your arms are, how big your hands are. But the foot speed will have to get there a little bit more too.
Yeah, I agree with that. I do think that the other thing we didn't mention, his hands are awesome.
Yeah.
Like, he's so disruptive. He gets a ton of his hands on the ball, deflects passes, contests high, occasionally just gets a block that way. One other thing, like, it seems like, look, it's hard in the G League, but he either like really studies what's going on ahead of time, or his awareness is just absolutely exceptional. Like, he knows what other teams are running. Like, he just has this innate sense. Like, he has this awareness of what their sets are going to be. And he's really like excellent at reading that. He knows exactly when to dig down. He knows exactly when to double. He jumps like plays pretty regularly because he sees them coming. His anticipation is very, very good. I also think he's a great transition defender too. Like,
Yeah.
he's just really long. He covers ground quickly. Like, all of the little things that Dyson Daniels does, I think they are tailor-made for him to be a really, really high level player that impacts winning at the NBA level.
Right.
Now,
So
the
fit.
question is,
let's talk
where
that.
do you,
Where does that
well,
fit? Where does that go?
where do you take that guy? Like, for me, I take him in the top 10 pretty comfortably. If I have a number one option already, and especially if I have a number one and a number two option, and I'm just like in this area for, unlucky reasons. But I love him. Like, this is the kind of guy that I think is hard to find because he brings defense, passing, potential to shoot it. Like, it's not totally broken. It has all these skills that NBA teams just really genuinely look for at a high level.
It's all over the place too. We've seen the buzz kind of increase during the pre-draft process. He's climbing up boards. He's probably mid-first-ish and now cemented himself into the lottery. And we've seen crazier things. Are the Kings a wild card at 4, despite wanting more of a win-now player and trading a similar stylistically player in Tyrese Halliburton? Seen some places that say the Blazers would be an optimal for him. Washington needs a point guard, despite him not really being what you'd say is a traditional point guard. The Knicks at 11 maybe, and then no matter what, an international or foreign player, Australian player, will be linked to the Thunder. I just don't know he's on the board by the time they get there.
Yeah, no, I think the thing with Dyson is that, we just went down the board. Number 4, the Kings makes sense. Number 5, the Pistons makes sense. Number 6, the Pacers, maybe a little bit less sense, but honestly, I wouldn't mind pairing him with Tyrese Halliburton. Portland makes a lot of sense. New Orleans makes a lot of sense. San Antonio makes a lot of sense. Washington makes a ton of sense. Oklahoma City makes a ton of sense. The Knicks make a ton of sense.
Dyson Daniels,
like,
it makes sense. That's the title of this video, because he fits so much, because he's not somebody who needs the ball in his hands. He doesn't have to be the first option. Can help and switch defensively. Can do a little bit of things of taking the ball off the rim and throwing those laser beams full court and then blocking a shot down the other end. He just fits.
And this idea of fit is why I have him at number 6 on my board. It's because these guys are hard to find. They fit everywhere. There's significant demand for them across the NBA. I mean, it's hard to find these guys. And when you have a chance to take them, I think you take them.
Yeah, it's right there, right for the taking. I don't have like the actual perfect fit, but in a good sense, it really almost doesn't matter for him. It will for franchise, but for him, he's going to play off everything that's around him already.
For Matt Pennie over in Boston, I'm Sam Vecenie. This has been the Game Theory Podcast over on YouTube. Please remember, rate, review, subscribe, do everything you can to help out the channel. We will be back later this week with more prospect breakdowns. We'll be back with a bunch of fun stuff. Until next time, though, we'll talk soon.